All right, we're going to actually add a table that has state codes for the United States, and we have a couple pieces here. This is the first place where we have something long enough that I'm actually supplying you interactively with the file to run. But let's create the table and start with that. So that we can have a table here. All right, we got the create table, and the table has an index on the US on state. And that turns out to be really important because we're going to make a relationship between two tables. And when we make that relationship, we basically have to have an index on that. So let's add an index here. And okay, the index worked. And I've actually supplied you with a file for doing the states. You'll notice that there are actually 53 states in here. Not 53 states, there are 53 state codes, excuse me, because it does include things like, yes, United States territories like Virgin Islands. So this is all of the official state codes. Now, there are other territories that are outside of the state codes, but those actually are not considered official state codes. Like American Samoa is actually handled through the United States military, not the post office. And the one you want to run here is the third one. Okay, so that's the insert. You can click on the others, but it's a fairly long insert. Now we run it. Okay, when I run it, I actually get that I had 53 rows that got inserted. And now let's actually go and let's do this last piece, which is file 4. And that is to alter the name list so that the name list actually has a constraint on the foreign key. Now what this does is this guarantees that the state field is this other field in this new table. So you can't put in a state field that's invalid. And we'll actually try putting in one, a state code of XX, and see that we get an error. But let's run this first and alter it so that we have a foreign key relationship. This is the way that you check values when you have more than what is going to be convenient to put in a check constraint. Or you need to be able to update them after the system is installed and the tables are created. Now, once we've done this, we can actually come back and take an insert statement and try to insert it into name list and do that where we're actually going to verify that that the check constraint works. So let's run that. And yes, we get an error. Foreign key violates constraint, and it lists the name of the constraint. So since what you're going to get back for errors in most databases is the constraint name, you want to verify that your constraint names are something reasonable. Usually I put the table name followed by what the column is and that it's a foreign key, so that I have some clue of what it is I'm looking for when I want to get an error back and say, this means X. So this is true for SQL Server, Oracle, and PostgreSQL. MySQL, depending on the version, may accept constraints but not enforce them. And you need to check and find out which version you're running if you're using that. But that's how you limit what values are and help protect the integrity of your data.